I looked up the potential of blockchain to help the supply chain issues, because you're kind of tracking where materials are during the entire chain, from the time it's actually just raw materials to being processed, shipped over here to the States from wherever, and then actually out on the construction site.
Right.
How is that different than what's going on right now? Like, we still
Sure.
know
Yeah.
where things are, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the reasons or one of the ways that we try and know where things are right now is, again, a lot of that manual processing, right? Because of the separations between our businesses, it'd be easy if we were all in the same network, right? Like I could just log into my computer and say, okay, there's my, metal framing material. But because of the separation, currently I have to either pick up the phone, call my supplier, send an email. If that supplier is getting material from overseas or from another supplier or wholesaler, they have to do the same thing, right? So now, just to track my material, there's 6 kind of manual processes, right? And like we talked about, even if they're small processes, it
It
adds
adds up.
cost
Yeah.
and adds risk to all of us. So blockchain, one of the things that you can do, I keep talking about this shared kind of network, right? This common data environment that all of these different stakeholders can do business in. One of the cool things about blockchain is you can also permission that data and add privacy elements to it. So it's not like if I put the supplier, the GC, and the owner in the same network, it's not like the supplier is going to see the owner's budget or anything like that. But again, going back to trust, a lot of the business actions we take, the behavior we take, is because of the lack of trust. So it creates a lot of inefficiencies. Put us all in a trusted network. Now it's a lot easier for me to see, okay, instead of having to call my original supplier, 84 Lumber here in Florida, I can now log right in and see that the lumber that's coming from Canada, that's already in the network because the Canadian lumber supplier is part of the blockchain network too. So now I saved all of us money by, instead of making that phone call, having them look, having them, process a bunch of paperwork, we're all in the same network, so I can see that type of information.
This
The
is an
same thing.
oversimplification, but I relate that to Home Depot. If I need to check if something's available, I just go on their website, plug in my local Home Depot, and see how many they have in stock. That saves me the time of getting into my car, driving over there, hunting it
Right.
down the right aisle and bay, and then seeing it's not available, and then coming back. Here,
Right.
so it's similar to that.
Yeah. And then imagine if at Home Depot, there was a bunch of different vendors you had to deal with to check out, right? So you get your lumber from one place, you have to do a bunch of paperwork with them. Then you want to check out. So you're going to do a payment processor like, I don't know, Stripe or something. Then you want to get your material to your job site. So you have to work with like Hertz Rentals, right? Imagine if that was the case at Home Depot. 3 different transactions, 3 different forms of paperwork, yada, yada, yada. Well, that is the case on construction projects with your suppliers, your subs, your GCs. So the same automation we talked about with lien waivers, for example, now you can do similar with things like, okay, so for example, with DigiProcure, what we do, in basically one user action, you can find your material, order it, interact with your supplier, receive your submittals, track the material, have your material or your submittals approved, and then capture the data around that material and bill the general contractor for that material, right? So 8 different steps that used to be kind of like 8 different processes are now one user workflow. That's kind of where I say the construction end user, throw blockchain aside. Like blockchain allows this to happen, but what do they care about? Construction end users, project managers, making their life easier. So previously they had to spend an hour managing their material. Now they spend 15, 20 minutes. So that's kind of the power of, at the end of the day, like I said, I'll keep saying it because I think it's really important. New types of technology allow new forms of user behavior. And in construction, it's kind of easily said, more automation, more collaboration, better data. And so that's kind of the long and short of how something like procurement,
Yeah.
blockchain and smart contracts can improve it in a similar way to something like payments, as we went through earlier.